The remaining kidnapped Bethel Baptist High School student in Kaduna, who had been held captive for more than 2 years, has now regained freedom. The Kaduna State Chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Joseph Hayab, upon receiving the released student, expressed joy and emphasized that earlier reports suggesting the victim's reluctance to return home were false. Recall that on the 5th of July 2021, at least 121 students from Bethel Baptist High School were kidnapped from the school premises in Maraban, Rido, Chikun local government area of Kaduna State. While 120 of them were released in batches, one remained in captivity.
My grandmother told me that she was also just sitting in her room, and there was a knock at the door, and she opened, and lo and behold, our great son came back. How? And the story is that he also just came out by the roadside, and here vehicle saying Kaduna, Kaduna, Kaduna. He does not even know where exactly is the place, but he entered it and keeps sitting until they arrive Kaduna.
My joy is fulfilled because we have been praying and trusting God. Just what the camp chairman said, we have lost hope. We are thinking that this thing will not be possible again. But one thing that we pray and agreed, what God did to the prodigal son, we are praying that God should do same to our son Treasure Ayuba.
For further perspectives on the kidnapped Bethel Baptist students that regained freedom, I'm being joined on the news by the CAN chairman in Kaduna State, Reverend Joseph Hayab. Thank you for joining us on TVC News at 7. And I must commend your patience, your perseverance and faith. Finally, Treasure is back. Talk to us about the journey so far and how you received the news of his return.
Let me begin by thanking your medium and thanking all Nigerians for standing with us and for praying with us, for supporting us. It's been 2 years and 4 months when this unfortunate incident happened. 121 of our students were kidnapped. The 120 were returned, and this young man, Treasure, did not come back. So many stories flied around about why he did not come back. But at last, yesterday, around this time, I got a call. What is happening? Come and see something in my house. And I arrived and I saw Treasure. I hugged him, I prayed, I sang. And then I felt it was a good news that I shouldn't keep it to myself, and I started reaching out to other leaders. Treasure came back without any money paid. Treasure came back without any other negotiation between us and the bandit. Treasure came out, I would say, as a miracle, and because it is the time of God. From the conversation we've had today, we can understand that it's likely within Sokoto and Kebbi that this young man came from, because since he did not know exactly where, all we wanted to know from him is how much did he pay from that place to Kaduna and how long was the distance. And he gave us the amount he paid, and we could see that there is no place surrounding Kaduna State that you will pay such an amount to join a bus to Kaduna town. And then the distance, the hours of the journey was about 7 to 8 hours. And so it couldn't have been in Kaduna State. So we project that it could be Sokoto or somewhere around Kebbi. But the most important thing is that the boy we thought we have lost is now home. As I speak to you now, he is in the hospital receiving treatment. He has lost his touch of speaking English. When they picked him 2 years, 4 months ago, he could speak English, but now he hardly dare. He will understand what you're saying, but he cannot speak English. But the strange thing is that he speaks Hausa like a Fulani man and speaks full Fude, the Fulani language. He speaks that language. So for 2 years and 4 months, they've turned him to a new person speaking a different language. If not because his mom, his grandmom said to me that this is their son, I will even dispute it. But here we are. Treasure is back, and every person that was kidnapped from our school is now back to be with us.
A lot has happened within that period of time, and I sincerely rejoice with you on the return of Treasure. Let's talk about life after freedom. About 120 other students regained freedom earlier. What strategies are in place? How do you work to reintegrate them into the society?
Yeah, when these young children returned, the first thing we did was to engage organizations that are involved in issue of trauma healing, trauma counseling. Some of them were even taken out of town to Jos and other places to spend weeks and sometimes with experts who help them to come back to their senses, who help them to overcome their trauma. And so it has not been easy. And, we had challenges of some of the parents feeling that, wait a minute, I won't trust anybody to give out my child again to go to school. We keep encouraging them. So the trauma counseling was not just for the victims, it was even for the secondary victims or the primary victims. It was also extended to the secondary victims. The fact that we expanded to the student of Greenfield University, to the student of Federal School of Forestry, all those who were in one way or the other kidnapped came and had this training. So we believe that what we got to do, what we did with the previous students that were freed, we have to do it because the case of Treasure is even more because he spent a longer time. And I've just shared with you that Treasure now cannot even speak English the way he left because he reminded me that before I left here, I don't even know how to speak Hausa. Though I understand what people say in Hausa because I was born here, but now I cannot speak English. The English I know how to speak because for 2 years, all I hear is Hausa and Fulani language. And that's the language I can communicate. Some of your colleagues that were there asked him, can you speak the Fulani? And he actually said it. Even from his voice, the way he speaks his Hausa, you will think he's not the Treasure we have. But that is the situation. So we have a lot to do in helping him. But first, his health. Then we go to the issue of psychological and trauma healing. And when we are done, we will think about his education. So we're going to take one step to another. We're not going to rush it at all.
Indeed, there's a lot that has to be done, and children have to be in school already because, there are calls to reduce drastically the number of out-of-school children in our country. What would be your advice at this time now to security agencies about ensuring that parents can willingly and freely release their children to go to school, and the children themselves are not rejecting the idea because of unforeseen circumstances?
Well, the price for lack of education is too big for us to actually pay. So I will encourage parents that, look, whatever, we must encourage our children to go back to school. If we think because of this insecurity we will stop our children from going back to school, we are going to pay dearly and heavily for it in the future. And for the children, the future is there for them to go out and possess or take charge. If they fail and refuse to go to school because of the fear of insecurity or because of the bandit activities, tomorrow they will have nothing to show. But I know that the bandits are actually smart. And what they are doing is to discourage children, discourage parents, create fear in the minds of the community so that people will not go to school. And that's why you cannot separate this bandit from the Boko Haram, because they are actually playing the agenda of the Boko Haram so that people will not go to school. If you check in the last 3 months, the attacks in the Northwest has actually been in schools. So they are attacking this school, attacking that school. So deliberately they want to create this fear. So we have to work on parents, and that's why religious leaders have a role to play, to remind parents that, look, this is something that we can overcome, but we must not allow them defeat us by refusing to go and acquire education or stopping our children from going to school. For the security agencies and government, the primary responsibility of every government is to secure the people. They give instructions and directives to security agencies and they will do it. I must say that so far so good. In the last few months, good things are beginning to come. But because these bandits have been around for a long time, these bandits have taken possession of so many places for a long time, to dislodge them may not be as fast as some of us want. But if we sustain the tempo and improve in certain aspects of security deployment, security strategies, sharing of information, we will eventually put them where they belong. Because talking to Treasure, when we were asking him about certain people, this man was among those who was negotiating with us with money. We realized that all some of them have been killed. So that means efforts there are success so far achieved, but we need to do more so that we will get rid of these terrorists or these bandits who have denied Nigerians the peace we want to have.
Absolutely, and it's a great way to end the conversation. Chairman, Christian Association of Nigeria, Kaduna State, Reverend Joseph Hayab, thank you very much for talking to us, and our best wishes to Treasure and his family.
Thank you, and God bless everyone.